then remember who you are. Yeah, they're gonna mess with you, baby, you're a star. Stepping in the spotlight, you know that it feels right. Time to put up a fight, honey. Got nothing left to lose, so let's start right now. Everybody want a piece of you. Gotta give them what they want, it's true. You're so funny, yeah, so iconic. If you didn't know before, now you know. Now you know. Take a big step away from who you were. Flashing that smile and the whole world's a blur.
Positively Powerful. Back on Wednesday, Scott Fitzgerald with Stacey Steinmiller in the Rockbox Ember Studio here at the demilitarized zone. They're testing missiles outside. That's fine. That's totally
really
fine. They're out there actively sanding the hallways, and there's like light bulbs hanging from the ceiling, and it really has this sort of former psych ward, like abandoned psych ward vibe when you walk through. Almost you expect to see gurneys, and I hearken back to Jacob's Ladder, the movie Jacob's Ladder with Tim Robbins, and he's going through this hospital that initially looks normal, and then you see these swinging lights, and then there's like chopped body parts on the ground and people walking around. It's crazy. Yeah,
It's a lot going on in that hallway.
How's that for a way to open up a show?
Right.
How's that for a visual?
A visual. Well, it makes me also think of those like Zillow Gone Wild posts where it, like the house starts out normal, and then as you like scroll through it, like each room gets weirder and weirder.
Yeah. I know somebody actually recreated the volcano from Close Encounters. You know, not the volcano, Devil's Tower, where he builds that. Never mind. Stop referencing 1977, Scott. People don't get your references anymore. You're outdated. It's tough. It's tough to be in your 50s now.
Well, and sometimes there's like, I notice there's a gap too. I was actually talking about this last night because I always say you're killing me, Smalls.
Yeah.
And
that I got.
That, right. But there's a period for that. If I go much younger than me,
they're like, what are you talking about?
Know.
What does that mean?
And then a bit more older, they don't know. And so it's just, there's these little specific phrases.
It's tough. It's tough when you, like me, I am always making pop culture references, mostly movies, mostly from the 70s, 80s, 90s, maybe early 2000s, and then that sort of drops off.
Yeah. Your brain guy, like, I have enough. I don't need to add anymore.
The good thing is that my kids, they're in their, early 20s and late teens, and so because they grew up in my house, they get those references.
Right.
None of their friends do, but they get it. Because I've made them watch those movies.
Right, exactly, yeah.
I'm like, you're going to watch The Sandlot.
Right.
You're going to watch this. You're going to watch Indiana Jones. Although my son, enjoyed those movies. But.
Right, yeah.
So what's up?
Hanging out. I got a whole couch today.
Yeah, it's nice. Stacey on the couch.
I'm going to lay down.
So tell me about your childhood, Stacey.
Right,
it's going to turn into Freud.
Yeah.
A Freudian. I'm
going to get a therapy session today.
You do not want me therapizing you. You do not want that.
I think you've learned enough over the years.
Yeah, maybe. What's your energy about that? How's your energy going into that? What's your gut tell you when you think of that? So I wanted to talk about like career starts.
Ooh.
Like early career starts, because my daughter is currently looking for a job. Mm-hmm. And so I'm currently, trying to talk to people that I know and saying, hey, can you get, and there's that kind of weird feeling like, do I want to use up a favor? Do I want to risk putting my good name out there for my child? Does my child uphold my work ethic, my standard?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think so.
Yeah, I think, and that seems newer in like more recent generation where kids seem to be getting help from their parents around that. Isn't that like newer, or is that because I'm like not as familiar with that.
You mean
know?
like resume writing and stuff like that?
No,
or?
like connections, introductions to people.
I mean, that's always happened.
Yeah, I guess that has always happened. I am not familiar with that side of life.
Oh, okay. You're not a Nepo baby.
I went, yeah, I guess I'm trying to think of, there still were connections like early on, but I don't know. I worked at a restaurant. I bussed tables. I had an organist. I played organ. That was like my first job.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at churches.
You were a church organ?
Yeah, well, I played the piano, and then
I didn't know that.
There was
I didn't know you're a musician.
You didn't know this about me?
I did not know that.
It's so funny. I realize I don't share a lot about certain parts of me, I guess, because people will say things. It's funny. People are like, "You have a kid?" And I'll know somebody for like 6 months or something, maybe even longer. I say something, they're like, "You have a kid?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Almost 11," and they're like, "What the?"
I only know that because she was here, because I saw her in the flesh. I saw that she actually existed.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't think I give off the motherly vibe, but
yeah, you kind of do. You kind of do.
I do
in the
care
right
with my
situations.
clients. My clients probably feel my
Right.
motherly vibe. I know you do.
Not the others.
Everybody's dead to me. You're either in my circle or not. Wait. So yes, but I think there was a connection there in which a kid a few years older than me, he played the piano, and he kind of started doing some piano organ workplaces, and then he was going to be graduating and moving, or and then I think they got passed to like, oh, Stacey,
Yeah.
she can do it.
Because let's see, going back to the early part of my career was down in South Florida, and there was no nepotism. My parents were not in my field,
Right, yeah.
So there was no introducing me to anybody. And the funny, we were talking about this before we started, so I thought I would talk about it now. In video production, a lot of times there are these jobs that come to you that you're like, really, it's a conundrum whether or not you want to apply for it or not.
Yeah.
There are some types of video that pay very, very well.
I'm laughing too early.
Yeah. So I answered an ad. I had left my former job. I was burned out. I was there for almost 5 years, and I was just done. And so I had built up a pretty decent resume just in the 4 or 5 years I was there. So I was like, I felt confident I can pick up any kind of editor's job. And I answered one, and it was like $300 an hour. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
This isn't a red flag at all.
No, it was not a red flag. It should have been. Absolutely should have been. Especially that, I mean, I could be remembering it wrong. Maybe it's $300 in today's money. I don't remember.
Either way.
It was really
significant.
It was a good pay. It was a good salary. So I applied for it, and they called back, and they were like, "Yeah, your resume is really good. It looks like you're qualified. You use the same editor that we use. Da da da. So now here comes the time where I need to tell you what you're editing." And I'm like, okay. And basically it was gay porn. It was male on male gay porn. And I was like, all right, so I'm not into that. But
should you be into it if you're editing?
Am I morally opposed to it? Am I okay with doing that as a profession?
You could have been the top editor in the gay porn community.
I'd be getting all those
you really missed
gay
out.
porn editing awards. Yeah. The slappies or what? I don't know what they I don't know what they're called. But anyway, so needless to say, I didn't go through with the job. Actually, I think they called me and said that they found a better candidate. Mm-hmm. Probably
because you were not enthusiastic enough, probably.
Well, it's also I don't know the
Your
genre.
Energy was
I don't know the genre. It helps when you're an editor to know the genre you're editing.
Right. Yeah.
So
you don't know your ideal client as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I was thinking, I'm like, how am I gonna how am I going to do the research on how these things are cut together? I mean, I'm pretty sure that.
You really need to immerse yourself in the culture.
And then I have to ask, are these really story driven videos or are they
just, yeah.
Yeah. So that was early on, but I totally digressed. I didn't get any introductions. So moving up here, I built my career on my own, just by the grace of the universe and getting the right job. My first big full-time job here in Rochester was at J Advertising. Shout out to J Advertising, Ferdy and Greg. They were great. Unfortunately, a bunch of us got laid off. It was the 2008 economic problem, and we were all on the account that got lost. So we all got dropped, and that's what happens in advertising.
Totally.
But to this day, the people that I met in that 11 months I was there have been in my career, have been, significant in my career since then. Yeah. And so if I've made contacts and I'm going to try to, if I want to help my daughter get a job, I'm.
Oh, wait. So what does she want to do? I guess that is like part of the equation here on your ability to make those connections.
So right? I'm not sure if I want to drop
that's probably
the name.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she, so I reached out and I said, hey, my daughter's applying. She was already turned down.
Oh, okay.
And I said, my daughter's applying. And then she got another email that says,
oh, interesting.
Hey, how about an interview? So I was like, Daddy knows people. Daddy knows people. And then I laid into her for about 15 minutes. I was like, all right, no messing around.
Right, if you
this is my rep.
Yeah, right.
All right. You show up early, you stay late, you come looking professional. Yeah. You say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. I'm trying to instill, 1940s work ethic on her.
There you go.
You're gonna Rosie the Riveter the heck out of this thing.
Don't ruin my reputation.
Because, man, how bad is that? How bad is it if you think about all those rich politicians that have those like terrible kids, where they're like, I get you this job and you couldn't bother showing up and you're doing lines of coke in the bathroom. Probably referencing another 80s movie. Was that Wall Street?
Yeah, it sounds like Charlie Sheen something.
Yeah, he had to have been. If there were lines of coke, Charlie Sheen was in it, I'm sure.
Right,
or he was on set.
The whole family, yeah, all of it seems to fit.
So what was your first job again?
Organist, and then I...
But professionally, it was after college you...
Oh, right, yeah, so then I went to college, and... I got... in the summer, I went down to Myrtle Beach, and I worked in the... in a hotel that my brother worked at. So I guess I did have a connection.
You did?
Yeah.
Is this your older brother?
Yes. The one that you remind me of because
so you're the Nepo sister.
Yeah. Because he also, probably because he quotes
Because he quotes people no one's ever seen.
All the time. You guys could just have like a quoting conversation.
Kindred spirits.
Okay, so yeah, so that was cool. But my work ethic or my fair skin helped me. I'm not sure what it was because I kept getting sunburned. Have I shared this story? So I went down between my freshman and sophomore year in the summer from like May to August. And I lived with my brother, so that was nice. I had a free place to stay. And he got me a job working in the towel hut by the pool.
And you're making fun of my job?
I wore a polo shirt, and you'd wear probably...
How old were you?
Well, so I was 19.
19-year-old Stacey Steinmiller working in the towel hut.
But it wasn't as like fancy as it sounds.
It's a storyline writes itself.
Right? You're like inside and there's just a window, like the window behind you, and you're literally...
you're handing towels
people have to show their room key so that you don't get people off the street using the pool and the beach access. And then you give them a towel.
Locals in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
You can tell by the way they talk.
Right. Oh, I know.
Hey, can I use your pool? No.
And it was like a fairly new hotel down there at the time. So I was making $8 an hour.
That's good
handing
money.
Out. It really was.
That was good money. For handing out towels? Are you kidding me? That's good money now.
Like, that's what. And I was like, this is amazing, which it was minimum wage was like $5 an hour at the time. So I was like, this is great. So anyway, somehow my first week of working there, I got recognized in the guest satisfaction survey by name, which is like a real like honor because it rarely happens that it, so it's like if an employee gets recognized by name, not like the person at the front desk, but it's like, so they literally said Stacey at the Towel Hut, like, and they like talked about how great I was. So I got an award.
Oh, wow.
And like by week 3, the director of operations comes down. He's like, Stacey, I gotta talk to you. And I'm like, oh no. So also mind you, so I'm inside, there's a window. And there's, 2 pools and then the beach. And I was putting like SPF 50 on in just the reflection from I was still getting sunburn.
You're inside. And you're also, you're fair skinned.
That's what I said. So it's like, it's either my great work ethic or my fair skin. So he comes down and he's like, we have a position in the executive offices. Do you want to come work upstairs and protect
light.
Your face from and so I got $1 raise to $9 an hour.
And your brother's like, what the hell? You're climbing up the corporate ladder, and I'm still stuck. What was he, waiting tables?
He was managing the front desk, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So he was already a manager. So
yeah, or at least.
So you rubbing elbows with his compadres then?
Well, they were up front, so I was in the back. So I was technically like a marketing assistant. So I'd call, get the final numbers for events and things like that. But then I also assisted the sales team. I mainly assisted a woman. Her name's Doretha, and she was the assistant to the regional manager. He had like 4. He managed 4 properties. So he was the GM and regional manager, and so she but she did all the work, of course. So I helped her out. So I constantly was like, Doretha, what do you need me to do? What do you need me to do? What do you And
you're exhausting me, Stacey. Go find something.
I would help that. I'd literally go into everybody's office and like ask what they needed me to do. So I just did like everything.
And you know what? Back then, you didn't have a phone.
Oh, like a cell phone, right? Yeah, no. So
you didn't have because now that's when if you don't give somebody from the younger generation something to do, they're on the phone.
Right, because
my son would do that all the time. I'd come here, he'd be like, "Can I come work with you?" I'm like, "Yeah, come work with me."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Where'd he go?" He's in the corner playing a game on his phone. I'm like, "Hey, come on." Well, I finished with the last thing you asked me to do. Well, ask me for something else.
Right. Yeah, and I think that was really nice, right? Then when you don't have those distractions, I just kept working, and then people saw me as really valuable, and they actually were like, I really considered this. They're like, don't go back to Rochester. I'm like, I got to finish college. And they're like, you can go to college down here. And I was like, And, but, I was making good money. I could take a few classes. It's
sunny all the time.
Yeah, the weather's nicer.
Yeah.
I really considered it, but I was like, no, I got to get back. I should go back to Rochester. And I went down the following summer, too.
That's cool, though.
That's a long story,
but still, I'm sure that that experience was a huge building block to who you are today in your professional life.
Yeah.
Like those early jobs are so key.
Yeah.
To how you work later on in life, and a lot of times they can completely build that structure that stays, that foundation that carries you through your entire career.
Yeah, I think it really helped with my confidence.
Sure.
Because to me, I didn't feel like I was trying, right?
You were just being you.
I was just being
you
me.
were getting ahead.
Yeah, and it worked, especially I think being in hospitality because I a personal, but I have the personality, I guess you would say, and I just talk to people easily. So I was like, and people tell me how great I was doing. I was like,
just handing out towels.
Great, yeah. I was like, I'm just existing. Okay. But I think that's how you know you're in your zone of genius or a great field.
Right, when it's easy.
When there's enough that comes naturally to you, but that's where. Sometimes the issue is when you have your own business and you're doing things that are fun and natural to you, people sometimes have a hard time charging their worth because you're like, I'm not what do you talk like?
Yeah.
I get to do this all day.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to pay me that much, and it's
Unfortunately, I know exactly what you mean, but unfortunately, when it comes down to actually having to pay your bills,
right.
your creditors don't go, so
Right. Exactly. So it's like,
did you make them smile? Okay, you don't know what's in it this time.
Exactly. So I think that's part of it's like great when you get to work in your zone of genius, but and I think that's why that tends to be such a high struggle for a lot of entrepreneurs around like charging your worth or people in a service-based industry and things like that.
Yeah, and that's where I'm always reflecting on how blessed I feel to be sitting here doing this. Like right now, this is where
Job,
I work. This is where I work.
Yeah.
We're doing this for fun. Like no one's paying us to do this, but I come here every day and I do this kind of stuff.
We've created the life and space to be able to do this.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not all, butterflies and roses or whatever, but
it's definitely hard.
but I think about the times in the past where I was working jobs that weren't in my zone of what'd you call it? Genius. Yeah. So like throughout college and in between colleges, I very often went and delivered pizzas. I worked at 4 different Domino's throughout my late teens and early 20s because it was easy.
Yeah.
But it sucked.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't stand doing it.
Yeah.
I worked in construction a lot because my family's in construction. So I would work for my father or I'd work for my brother. And they worked me hard, and they didn't give me a pass. I mean, they might have probably gave me a pass. I'm thinking back, they probably did. They were easier on me than they would have been on their own guys. Yeah. Because I do remember in my 20s, like being late and like, but I worked when I showed up, I would work, and that was part of the ethic that I learned working for my family, and then working early on. My first professional job was just the guy worked me to death. Like we talked about this in the past, like just in our in the group and stuff, is how my first job was so difficult for me that I ended up having like professional PTSD from the situations that he put me through. And so when I see other people who are working in their job but they're miserable, or maybe not miserable but they're not happy. Yeah. They're not in their zone of genius. And I feel for them because I want that for everyone because it's a great feeling. Yeah. Yeah. And everybody has it. But sometimes it can feel scary or confusing to go in that route, right? Because it feels like, well, but this is easy, or but this is, or whatever. There's always excuses. Yeah, and sometimes you don't make all the right choices when you're younger. There's a lot of impulse, a lot of things that you do that maybe aren't. I know, God, no, I did my fair share. I know, yeah, I'm pretty impulsive. So for me, when I first, I think it was when I first turned 18 or something, that's when the pre-approved credit cards started coming in the mail. And, luckily, I didn't have that impulsivity issues. I had other problems. Other impulsivity issues. Yeah. I don't know what's better or worse. That's a different podcast. How much does the editor for that one pay? Just kidding. So, but so like I would just go, hey, free money, buy stuff. Yeah. And so by the time I got my first job, I was so desperate for work to pay my bills that I was trapped in the job that if I didn't have, because I was still living at home when I worked for the cruise line. Yeah. I was traveling a lot, so it didn't make sense for me to try to get my own place. Yeah. Plus, I couldn't afford my own place because I remember when I got my employment letter, my offer. $20,000 a year. Yeah. I was like, holy crap. This is the big time. I made it big. And then I was working 80 hours a week, so I was making like $7 an hour. and it was ridiculous. I was working weekends but here this is what I learned. And those of you in positively powerful land make sure you read your employee manual.
Right. Yes.
If you work for a company that has such a thing,
Yeah.
read
And
it.
Companies should.
Read it. Yes, companies should. Bigger.
Wink.
Yeah. My manual is like, show up on time, do your work, leave, you got paid. That's it. But I listened to my boss and what my boss told me. Oh, you're a salary employee. You work as many hours as we want you to work. And that's it. That's what it is. And that's what growing up, that's what I thought. That's what, I thought that was the case. So if I'm asked to come in on the weekends, if I'm asked to, I'm
not allowed to say no.
Right. And he had me working on, like, we would get 2 weeks vacation and I would get to take my vacation. But I had assignments to get done during my vacation. And that's not like HR today would be like, no,
right,
no. Yeah. And I think about that. I think about how that guy's management style would go over in today's HR world.
Yeah.
And I know is it even called HR anymore? Is it called like something else?
Yeah, there's still human resources.
But oh my gosh. But I was a young like, yes sir, I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do. And I was totally taken advantage of. And it burned me out, something fierce. But there was a lot of pluses that came with that job. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I learned how to deal with people. I learned how to not manage people, which is just as valuable as learning how to manage people. Yeah. Is that if you learn all the opposite things, the things that don't work,
points you in the right direction.
Yeah, it kind of points you in the right direction. I really enjoyed our conversation today because it was a little bit more free form.
Yeah.
And I think this is the direction that we should go on.
I like that. I feel good about that.
Instead of trying
to, give people what we think they need.
Right. It's like, let's just talk. Let's just talk about things that we care about and the hell with them.
I'm good with that.
Rockvox.com. You can find us and do live streams and podcasts and other kind of stuff. If you do character voiceover work, hit us up, rockvox.com. We'd love to hear from you. Stacey Steinmiller. Hello. Stacey Steinmiller at radicallifecoach.com.
Look at you go.
You could say that I was a broadcaster, but you wouldn't believe me. Speaking of broadcasting, next week I'm going to be filling in for Pat Rivers on Warm 101.3 in the middays, so listen to me there. We'll catch you on the next version of Positively Powerful. Ciao, ciao.